of their this video is called DNA versus the Book of Mormons, and basically this is one of their very own explaining how he believes he connected the Native Americans to the Ashkenazi Jews, which proves that the Hebrews were here. He says some other interesting things. I'm going to try to pick up at where he starts speaking about the interesting things. If you want to, there's a video up. Watch it. Okay. Like I said, I'm just trying to help speed up the process.
Central and South America, they found that their DNA could be categorized into one of four primary groups called haplogroups. I'll just call them lineages. And so you have they call them haplogroups A, B, C, and D. And they found that the markers that differentiate between these four groups, all of those markers could be found in Asian populations, which basically links all
He was talking about the kings that they dug up in Maya
to Asia. But Lehi and his family, were they Asian? No, they weren't. They were Hebrews.
I'm sorry, I picked up in the video where he talks about they were testing the skeleton remains down in South America, the kings that they found in the graves down there, and it came back to be Asians, and so it didn't bode well for the argument that the people of South America were Hebrews. All right. Sorry about that.
Came down to the lineage of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They're not Asians. And yet, when they sequenced the DNA from the Mayan kings down in Central America, for example, they found that they were 100% Asian. And of course, that doesn't bode well for the Book of Mormon, because the Book of Mormon the evidence for the Book of Mormon should indicate some sort of a Hebraic or a Hebrew people, not Asiatic people, as far as that's concerned. So, actually, there was a DVD called DNA versus the Book of Mormon that was put out by a company up in Brigham City, Utah, Living Hope Ministries. And that DVD has been pretty devastating to a lot of people's faith. And the reason why is, unfortunately, because at the time when it was produced, which was in 2003, it was actually, 2002, beginning of 2003, the information in it, from a genetic standpoint, was actually correct. There was no evidence that for Hebrew people among the indigenous populations of the Americas. And then there was an interesting interview, actually, that was done during the 2002 Olympics with President Hinckley. There was this German reporter, and he asked President Hinckley, what's going to be your church's position when DNA shows that there's no evidence for the Book of Mormon? And President Hinckley was almost visibly upset by the question. But he kind of actually cut off the reporter.
Look at that smile come across his face. Look at it, because he's going to tell you that he was a man of God, the man of the Lord. Yeah, your Lord Moloch. Okay, all right, let's get back.
And said that hasn't been established yet. We don't know the answer to that yet. He says, as far when it comes down to genetics, he says we don't know the answer to this, not at this point. That was in 2002. I submit that President Hinckley is a prophet of God, because 1 year later, articles started to come out in scientific peer-reviewed genetics journals that talked about a new...
Real quick, while I'm just thinking about it, if you get a chance, Google Mormons and Moloch. Okay, all right, just look that up.
New founding lineage. These were each of these forward lineages. They found a new founding lineage, which was primarily found among the Algonquin-speaking language groups of North American Indians. And they were indicated by 5 specific markers in their DNA that...
Wait a minute. Now, remember that he said this was found among the Algonquin-speaking people, because I'm going to show you another video where a brother, all right, which I get the indication he might be of the Moorish persuasion, though, breaks down some of the things about the Algonquin that this guy is leaving out.
That differentiate them from the other 4. And when they went looking for these 5 markers in other populations around the earth, guess where they found them? They were in the Druze population of Israel. They found that they were, later on, additional research found that they were in the Ashkenazi Jews population, which is the largest population of Jews on the planet.
You hear that? This fool, all right, just literally said that he's linking together the Native Americans to the Ashkenazis through their haplogroups. That they're classified in the same haplogroups, okay? That they share the same genetic traits, okay? Just listen. Native Americans are connected to the Ashkenazis. Certain groups, that is, he's saying.
It's in the Sephardic Jews, the Libyan Jews, the Moroccan Jews, the Tunisian Jews. All of these diverse Jewish populations around the world have these 5 markers, which are also found in the Algonquin-speaking language groups, which is about 110 Native American tribes in North America. For example, the Sioux and the Cheyenne and the Blackfoot, the Cherokee, the Iroquois, the Ojibwe, the Sac and the Fox, Potawatomi, the Penobscot. All of these.
You hear that? And all of those are ones that when you look and read about what they say about the black, all right, natives that were here, they always call them traitors or all these other disrespectful names they got for the black Indians here. All right, come on, man, like seriously, we're talking about the Blackfoot. We know who the Blackfoot really are, okay? The Algonquin, the Cheyenne, really? Man, I got this article that Arthur Scott and I were reading and conversating back and forth about, where they just break down the different names for different tribes. And they got the yellow people, they got the clay pale white people for names for these tribes. And man, I might be mumbling now, but I'm gonna get it straight, and we're gonna go through it one of these days, because he's literally classifying a set group over here to one side that are they're related to the Ashkenazis, while the cover-up of the indigenous people, we're not going to talk about the indigenous tribes that are here. We're not going to list them because it doesn't work that way.
Tribes, and mostly concentrated in the Great Lakes region of the United States and Canada, is where they find these 5 markers and these people. And so they actually they started to dig up bones from the ancient mound builder civilization that occupied the heartland of North America. And when they sequenced the bones directly from those people, they found the same 5 markers, and they carbon date into Book of Mormon timeframes. So unlike the Mayan civilization in Central America, which has no evidence for any Hebrew population, these up here do have solid genetic evidence that
Wait. No, he's not right. They do have Hebrew, all right, traits, because this guy is so stuck on the Ashkenazis, and the Ashkenazis in Genesis, what was it, chapter 10, I think it's verse 2, all right, the Ashkenazis are listed under, Gomer? And me being the son of a pastor, I was always taught that Japhet's descendants, which Gomer is the son of Japhet, his descendants are all the Gentiles, okay? So all he's done is said, hey, the Gentiles were here. Or what, at least the Christian perspective is of the Gentile. And I don't think he's even realizing it. It's like he doesn't even know the Table of Nations.
They came from that. These tribes today came from their ancestral people are the mound builder civilization of North America. They're not the Mayans from Central America. And so that led me to go.
No, because all these different historians keep telling you that those Mayans, the Aztecs, the Incas, they were all black. They were all Negroes. I have a poster up at home that I printed out where the historian goes off into details explaining that South America and Mexico were definitely the land of the Negroes. It gets totally ignored. You talk to anybody that claims to be an expert, they'll tell you, oh, that's just a conspiracy. You're engaging in conspiracy theories. But whatever.
Well, good grief. Maybe there's something to this. But what I found is that there is a very highly organized and entrenched group of scholars, primarily, have been from BYU, who have, over the course of time, been looking for evidences for the Book of Mormon down in Mesoamerica or Central America among the Mayan civilization. And they've done extensive research and extensive writing and so forth. What we found is that they have done this primarily because it was believed that Joseph Smith thought that the Book of Mormon happened in Central America, and so really Now, this is before there's been some really breakthroughs in the last year, just in the last few months in regard to that. But prior to that, I wanted to find out, well, what did Joseph Smith know about all this?
So what he's saying is because they can't make the mold and the images of the people of South America fit the white perspective, if I may use that term, the Ashkenazis, the people that they will accept, that people like he will accept as Jews, as the Hebrews, because they can't get it to fit that image, because everything down there points to a Afro-Asian people, a Negro group. They're going to give up on looking down there, and they're going to try to find a way to make things fit in North America and Canada.
I mean, he obviously saw
Guides, the kind that Aleister Crowley wrote about for whatever reason.
from the Book of Mormon time frames, these prophets and so forth that came to actually visit him. But what did he really know about it? The geography of the Book of Mormon. And then that led to an intensive study about Joseph Smith and what he knew about this. And probably some of the most powerful things as far as...
I'll tell you what he knew about it. First of all, he was a 34th degree Freemason before he decided to put together this whole Mormonism and the shenanigan. And second of all, he followed the same steps as Muhammad. As soon as he put together his whole plot, what did he do? He went and found the real Hebrews and took it all to them and said, hey, this is your history. Didn't Muhammad do that? After the Catholics helped him put together, the new version of Islam. What did he do? Go find Hebrews and say, hey, this is the new word. This is what it is. And when they laughed at him and joked him and pushed him around and told him, no, we ain't buying it. What did he do? He went back and wrote a different version, the one that's mad and angry and all that crap. What did the Mormons do? Then they just went and decided to take our land out in Utah and in Arizona.
As that's concerned, is that Joseph Smith, there's really two or three different things that really indicate what Joseph Smith knew as far as this is concerned. One of them is that he was commanded by the Lord when the very first copies of the Book of Mormon, after they...
Listen closely to this.
They were just now coming off the Grandin Press there in Palmyra, New York. And the Lord commanded Joseph Smith to send missionaries unto the Lamanites. And this is all recorded in the Doctrine and Covenants. So this is canonized scripture. And in section 28 and 30 and 32, the Lord commanded Joseph Smith to send Oliver Cowdery, Peter Whitman Jr., Priley P. Pratt.
What we need to do now is look up the names of these guys and see what they wrote about. What they call them Lamanites when they went there and were supposed to take these books to them and be their missionaries. We need to look up and read what they wrote. If there's anything objective about it left, knowing what these guys did, they've probably whitewashed everything. Anyways.
And a guy by the name of Ziba Peterson to take those first copies of the Book of Mormon and go unto who? The Lamanites. And in every single one of those sections in the Doctrine and Covenants, it specifically calls them Lamanites. It didn't say to go to the Indians.
I see. So that's what I'm talking about. They knew specifically after their time here who were the actual people, who were the actual Hebrews and who weren't Hebrews, who were of other nations. And they specifically went to these. Because I remember talking to a brother, and I told him, I said, I'm going over this stuff about the Mormons. And it seems like they specifically left New York and went to Ohio, went to Missouri, and then to Illinois, and specifically left and went to Utah. I mean, I'm talking about Brigham Young, man. Yeah, when he got out there, he wasn't even feeling great. He was like struck with yellow fever. But yet he somehow mustered up the strength to stand up and say, hey, this is it. We found it. You know what I'm saying? They specifically knew who was where, all right? And they went to these specific tribes. They didn't go to everywhere. They didn't go all over South Carolina, Florida, and all that stuff to say, hey, we found you. Here's your history. No, they specifically knew who were the Hebrews. They specifically knew where they were, okay? And they specifically went to them, all right, to try to shove the Mormon belief down their throat, just like the Islamic faith was shoved down the throat. They tried to shove it down the throat of those of the Hebrews that were over there in the other part of the world.
Did go to the Lamanites. But in section 32 of the Doctrine and Covenants, right after he called Ziba Peterson, the Lord said something very critical, very important. He said, and Ziba Peterson shall go with them, and I myself will go with them and go before them. He says, I will be in their midst, and Nothing shall prevail against them. This is a personal guided tour by the Lord himself.
Yeah, by Moloch himself. Don't give me that Lord stuff. I know who you worship. That Saturn worship, that's what you're all about.
To the Lamanites.
That Chronos worship, the god of time. Can't fool me.
Now, big question is, as a member of the church, do you believe that the Lord knows where the Lamanites are located? Because if you do, then this is a personal guided tour by the Lord to those people, to the actual remnant of the actual Lamanites who were here. And where did they go? Barney P. Pratt wrote this in his journal, and later on it was in his autobiography. They went to go visit 4 tribes.
So, if you want to watch the rest of it, like I said, it's called the DNA versus the Book of Mormons. Check it out. I can't stand to watch another minute of it. Anyways, this is M.W. Smith, and I'm out.